On the surface, the recent Blue Hackle Mafia Facebook group scandal is an embarrassment to the individuals involved, their regiment, the Cameron Highlanders of Ottawa, the Duke of Edinburgh's own, and, by extension, the Canadian Army and the Canadian Armed Forces in general. It is time to target what is the real story behind this scandal, who knew what when, and how this reflects upon the senior leadership of the Canadian military. For those unaware of the recent news reports, it was revealed that approximately 200 members of a Facebook group were using the social media platform to share anti-Semitic, homophobic, and misogynistic messages with each other. The self-proclaimed, quote, Blue Hackle Mafia posted images of male soldiers in uniform exposing their genitals, others posing naked with Canadian Forces weapons, or simulating sexual acts with each other in uniform. Some of the photos were taken at military installations. It was widely reported that the private Facebook page also included hateful comments that were directed towards women, derogatory sexual comments about former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as well as discussions about raping grandmothers. In other cases, the Blue Hackle Mafia posted disparaging comments aimed at both Jews and Muslims. This story was first broken by CBC News reporter Catherine Tunney on July 3rd. Tunney's report was based solely upon statements and messages from Lieutenant General Michael Wright, the Army Commander, and Brigadier General Vanessa Hanrahan, the CAF Provost Marshal, that were, quote, shared with CBC News, end quote. It was a classic attempt at senior-level damage control. To paraphrase what Lieutenant General Wright and Brigadier General Hanrahan fed to Tunney was that while the contents of the Facebook page had been flagged by the chain of command as early as December 2024, the Army Commander had only learned of the contentious material on the 25th of June. The Provost Marshal advised Tunney that the military police had investigated the initial reports and then turned the investigation back over to the unit involved. However, as of June 27th, the military police investigation had been reopened. Brigadier General Hanrahan therefore advised Tunney that, quote, this new investigation is ongoing and no further information will be provided at this time to protect the integrity of the investigation, end quote. Lieutenant General Wright condemned the contents, and in the message he shared with Tunney, he wrote that he is disgusted by the content of some of the posts published on this group, end quote. What they did not share with CBC News was the identity of the regiment in question. We know this because in her story, Tunney wrote, quote, not much else is known about the Blue Hackle Mafia group, including how many CAF members allegedly participated. Hackle could be a reference to the plume some infantry regiments wear, end quote. What Tunney did not realize was that the Canadian military brass were not simply coming clean on some very dirty laundry of which they had just been made aware. The truth is that the Ottawa Citizen reporter David Pugliese had been following this story for several weeks. A source had tipped him off, and Pugliese had subsequently screen-saved the explicit images and the posts. On June 24, Pugliese had forwarded this collection of screenshots to the Canadian Forces Public Affairs and asked for a comment from Lieutenant General Wright to include in his upcoming story. However, instead of just replying to Pugliese, Military Public Affairs chose to share the responses with CBC News. They knew full well that the reporter did not have the full details nor the supporting imagery. Hell, Tunney did not even know the name of the regiment involved. Of course, the Ottawa Citizen published the full story the very next day, along with 2 supplementary stories the following week. As a result of Pugliese's reports, we now know that while the Army Commander may only have been made aware of the Facebook group on the June 25th, others in the chain of command were aware long before that date. The group, which included roughly 200 members, was first established in 2007. We also know that the members of the Blue Hackle Mafia knew what they were doing ran counter to the CAF's current policies, but were only concerned about getting caught. One post from October 2017 warned the group, quote, basically anything bad to happen to any military unit in the last 25 years is because some asshole didn't put his camera away, end quote. Another wrote, quote, it is not what we know, it is what we can prove, end quote. Perhaps the most explicit warning revealed that photos of genitalia had been brought to the attention of the commanding officer of the regiment. Quote, no f***ing pictures in the mess, wrote one soldier. There should be zero photographic evidence of anything we get up to in that room. We don't need any more pictures of penises going to the CO or the commanding officer. Unfortunately for Lieutenant General Wright and Army Public Affairs, their attempt to conduct damage control by using the CBC to break this story sends the wrong message to serving members. Protecting the institution's reputation should never take priority over actually handling an issue. For the record, the Cameron Highlanders of Ottawa have a long-standing reputation as a first-class infantry regiment. In 1882, they were granted the right to adopt the City of Ottawa's motto, Advance. The blue hackle was authorized to be worn on their headgear by the King of England during World War II in recognition of the regiment's honor and fighting pride. Let's hope that their martial legacy trumps this current stain on the regiment's reputation. This has been On Target, and I'm Scott Taylor.